Okay, so the microphone check worked, and we're continuing on. All right, so I just want to say that this is the story is very traumatizing, and it happened um, to solely me and by myself. So I'm speaking only for myself. All right, so everybody's FUCK, the ice, right? The whole lice, right? And I guess I can make a statement because it's trending. And so here's my story. I had an apartment at the my apartment was in St. Martin Parish, St. Martinville at right at the intersection of Cypress Garden Apartments, right? So I've been living there for um, the story took place at the end of my 7 years living there. So I've been living there for 7 whole years, and I live by myself. I work by myself. I'm recovering from my disabilities. I had cancer, and I'm often just really, really wiped out, and I'm unable to do like most things. But I am making an attempt, like a very real attempt, going to school, and I managed to get into Arizona State online, their program for Penn Foster. So, um, so anyway, um, there was a factory built, which was approximately like 3 miles down the road or less. I believe it was less, it's like two and a half. So yeah, it was definitely like right around the corner, and I could walk there like really fast. So I would say it was like 3 miles. Like, is that correct? It might be just three. Or okay, so yeah, I'm just trying to make it make sense. Um, so yeah, the factory was there to process all the sugarcane, which was located everywhere around the area, including where my apartment was smack dab on the side, right on the side of the sugarcane field. So I started waking up in my apartment at nighttime, and my apartment was full of smoke, and it was this weird smoke. All right, so I had no idea that the factory up the road, the sugarcane processing factory, had even built itself. I don't watch much news. I don't have time. I don't like the news. I just don't watch the news. So this is $1 million facility to process sugarcane and molasses, which molasses is it's a syrup that is a product from processing the sugar in a specific way, and people use it to cook with a lot. And um, so I'm not a fan of sugar. Just putting that out there. I actually avoid sugar pretty much out of everything I do. Uh, my mom made a statement to me one time. She said that sugar is it's a treat. It's like having ice cream, right? And I just think that sugar is used just way too much. And everything that you pick up, there's a dollop or way more than a dollop of sugar in whatever. So it makes people sick. It is true. All that stuff is true. It's but you're not supposed to consume it like like your main meal. So yeah, that's mostly what my thing is. I don't like sugar anyway. Um, so yeah, I woke up. Um, about this happened to me about 3 times. I was asleep at night in my apartment. I wasn't coughing. I don't recall. So I would wake up, and my apartment was fully full of smoke. I tried to open the windows, and this is what happened. Um, there was no escaping the smoke. I had nowhere else to live. My parents live on the other side of town, and um, come to find out, I wasn't talking to them for years and years and years, just over some personal stuff. I wasn't talking to them, but um, at the end of the story, I wind up going back to my dad's house, which is 1 mile in the other direction from my home. And I could have talked to them this whole time. I just didn't want to. I preferred it that way. Just because I have a lot of trauma from them, and I need to process my emotions per the situations what I had with them. So anyway, um, so this is how I survived in my house. I would put a wet uh, rag, a wet rag, like a wash rag, and I would wet it. And you know how you do when you survive in a burning house? Yeah, I would put it over my face. I managed to do that like around the clock for weeks and weeks until I got tired of the smoke. Okay, and um, so I would put that over my face, and then I would put a mask over my face, which I had some cloth made masks, pre-made masks, right? So I managed to attach that, and I was able to breathe, and I was okay. And I couldn't really live, really, but I was okay. I was never given any notice by anybody. The police never came to my house. Nobody warned me that there was an entire factory that was going to literally, I could have died in my sleep, right? If you inhale too much smoke while you're still, I could have just died. And at the saturation level with the smoke was, I'm surprised I survived anyway because I didn't have any idea. And in the daytime, this was insane, it was almost like they were trying to kill everybody. My neighbor had a baby one time in her, I noticed. Um, uh, I don't think it was her baby, but she had um, she had underage kids. My downstairs neighbor, she definitely had the same situation. She had underage kids, like they were like 5 and under, and where they were like 5 and 7 and under, and one of them was even like had to be like 1 years old and bouncing on her knee. And the cruelty of these people, I couldn't even like register it. Like, how could you do that? And we don't have any money, like most of us are living paycheck to paycheck, paying our bills and trying to struggle and pay whatever and trying to get by. We don't have any money to just pick up and go to a vacation home in the Hamptons, just pick up and just go. Like, that's just not happening. So I was in the same situation. I couldn't just pick up and leave. So the best I managed to do was so that was what was going on in my apartment. So one day I was in my apartment and I got really fed up because I didn't understand why anybody wasn't doing anything. And why nobody was writing the city citizens and why nobody was doing nothing at all. I actually have footage. I actually have some pictures. I'm pretty sure I still have them in those like years ago. So I'm gonna go probably insert it if I can find it. Okay, but I have pictures of the smoke, the extreme amount of like smoke that was outside of my apartment. So um, this smoke was so thick, and so what happened was, this is on my record too. I would have to go and find my medical record with Medicaid and Medi-Cal because I ended up going to New Iberia General Hospital. I went to the hospital. My face, it was black and blue. My neck was black and blue from the inhalation of the smoke, and I wasn't even aware of what was going on with me. But I was, when I arrived at the hospital. I was black and blue, and my chest was hurting, and I couldn't even breathe. Okay. So I didn't know what was going on that much until I actually went to the hospital, and the air was clear, and it was perfect when I got over into New Iberia. So that's on my record that I went to the hospital, and I guess that the doctor and the staff, maybe he would remember me in the the waiting room, and then I complained to him because how I got to the hospital was the local people, when they heard about this is what I did. I called the factory and I had an argument with the factory owner. It was a black man answered the phone, and he tells me to if I want the factory to shut off, I need to come cut it off myself. And it was probably late in the afternoon. Probably late in the afternoon, and um, he told me that over the phone. So I got really upset, and guess what I did? I told the factory that I had a bomb and I would blow them up. Okay, because I was tired and fed up of them hurting everybody in the city and hurting me, and that was just totally wrong for them to just do all that to us and make uh, you know some issues with us, like you know, like and it was killing the environment. It's killed everything in the area, and I got really sick. So I was really, really upset about that, and um, that's what I ended up doing. So, but despite everything I just said, somebody managed to get the police to come to my apartment and tell me that I was having a problem and that I was going, that I was going crazy and that I had a problem that I needed to stop. And so this is what happened. About six police officers showed up to my house and told me that they were taking me here and there. So that first of all, they tried to put me at a crazy case and told me to go to the doctor in the New Iberia. So they picked me up and put me in the hospital and told me I needed to speak to the psych doctor, which I did. And he told me to my face to leave his office because he said to leave his office because there was nothing wrong with me and that this was a crazy situation. He didn't know what to do. He said, "You're not coming in here because I can't treat you because there's nothing wrong with you mentally." He wasn't about to play all those games, but the police were trying to play all that BS. Now let me tell you something. I got up out of that office and I left. I left the doctor's office in New Iberia, Louisiana. I walked out, and then I had nowhere else to go. Okay, so I went back home, and this is the second thing that happened. So everybody kept trying everything. I think what happened was if I'm trying to remember properly. And another thing was my niece and my mom were living on the other side of the town. My mom was somewhat sick, right? And she had a lot of other health issues, but I was so upset that they were going to have to do that. And my niece, I was ready to do anything to help them. So I did. I got myself in a lot of trouble. The second thing that happened was within the next 4 weeks, I think I went to my dad's house and I was, I believe this is what happened. I went to his house and I had took everything out of my house or something. I was trying to have a break on my body. And I was also, everybody was fighting the smoke that was coming out of that factory. And my mom, I'll never forget, she had I could never forget this. I was so upset. I went to her house after 6 years of not talking to her. And I was sleeping in her, where she did her laundry, in her laundry room. She had the vents closed up in all of the areas, in all of the rooms of the house. And I couldn't figure out who could be that mean? Who could be this mean to elderly people? My mom was an elderly lady. Elderly. She was about 70 something years old, and I couldn't figure out who would be that mean and evil to kids. Because mind you, just exactly what I just said. There was my neighbor had a baby bouncing on her knee. On her knee. On her knee when I know that one night I came outside it, and she was sitting on her porch with a baby on her knee, right? And I know that it was the smoke was doing a so-so situation. It wasn't really that bad because they managed to do it only when it was about after midnight. They would flip it on, and then the entire place would be smoked up. I didn't have any access to air. Yeah. So anyway, this is what happened to me. I was at my dad's house. I was at my mom's. No. This is after. No. That was an after situation. Now this is go back. I was at my house for sure. This is what happened. They managed to take me into custody and put me in jail. For that reason, they told me it was because I had threatened the St. Martinville, Louisiana Police Department. I'm sorry, the factory, right? They told me I had threatened them. And then they said they caught me on a charge they couldn't even tell me what it was, which they didn't tell me what it, they never told me what it was. They said they had caught me on something in Lafayette. That is against the law. You have to tell somebody what they are charged with. I don't even know what it was, what the case was. I don't even know what it was. And I never figured it out because I know I never do anything. I didn't have anything. So basically they kidnapped me, right? And they put me in their jail with a bunch of other women. And this is even more insane. The women in there were saying they were in the same situation. They were all kidnapped. I'm not kidding. And they were saying that they didn't know how long they had even been in there because they lost track of time. Yeah. And they didn't know nothing else that was going on. It was black, white, every single woman of different races was just sitting in there. So I figured the same thing out. So this is what happened to me. I couldn't freaking take it. I was already on a vegan regime, right? So I didn't use animal products. Usually in my daily life, I had a lot of things going on, and I didn't eat meat at the time, right? So what happened was when I was in the jail. Now the weeks are going by. I hadn't eaten because they wouldn't stop feeding us just meat, 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 meat. Everything was on the meat on the plate, and I just wasn't doing that before. So you know what? I gave up on life. I was in there. I didn't eat nothing but like 2 pieces of bread a day. Yeah, 2 pieces of bread, and sometimes they'd hand me a little packet of peanut butter, and I was drinking water. And guess what? My body started giving out. Giving out.